Всех приветствуем.
Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being able to join us today. It's the 30th of March, 2024. It's almost the last day of the spring month of March, and we complete Sloka 12, Stanza 3 study today. This exchange of energies that takes place during such seminars is very significant, and we constantly highlight that, just like our speakers and esteemed members of the scientific and research group. And it unites our consciousness. Stanza 3 is the state of the three, and it's the trembling appearance. It needs for the assimilation of the pulse of the eternal life. The eternal life exists, and there's the cycle of the pulsation, and something must happen for these energies to start acting, and that's how the trembling appears, and it appears in the heart. And it's a great opportunity to concentrate your thought and to hear the space and its fullness. Not always in our everyday life we have this opportunity to touch the waves of the space. And for that, we need the concentration. Our physical ear needs to concentrate to hear the physical sound, and we concentrate our ears when we want to hear the music. And our hearing and concentration should be very sharp for us to be able to hear the waves of the space. They do have sound, because light is not just an empty category of an impetus or a pulse or a particular energy. These are rays that bring within themselves the movement of the law, and it has the sound for each individual. And it is the individual sound, its perception is of the individual nature, but there is one common thing. This is the state of mind that enables us to understand the threefold nature. 3 stanzas of the first volume of The Secret Doctrine prepares our consciousness and develops our way of thinking, so that this unity in the multitude of the consciousness would have the mixture of currents. At the very beginning of the evolution, it was the touch of the one, of the united. It's the cross section of the thoughts, and in the physical form we assimilate that in various forms of our existence, and we are learning to think. And this exchange of energies is possible when our internal hearing can get beyond the physical limitations. And we can do that only when we understand what world we are entering. We need to study this world. These 3 stanzas, first 3 stanzas, enable us to prepare our consciousness, prepare this place, so that the unearthly touch of this current will be perceivable, and will perceive it with our consciousness and with the consciousness of everyone. And it includes 3 phases in religion and philosophy, in the whole human history, in various discoveries that have been seen during the evolution of humanity. All that enabled us to see each other today, to understand each other, because every time we change, every 10 years, according to teachers, the currents change. The approach changes. Every 10 years, a human being can have a new perception of one and the same thought. 50 years ago, those who read this study, this work, they highlighted completely different thoughts. In other words, these words in the secret doctrine, in Agni Yoga, have so much power that they have the egregor to open up in its eternity. 50 years has gone, and we can read this study once again. Some of us can do it, so we can see a new fraction of this meaning. Every time the human consciousness gets beyond the physical limits of the word, every 10 years we are discovering new things, and 10 is the symbol of Fohat. It's the symbol of the ray that divides the united space, and the symbol of space is the circle, the round. In other words, I'm talking about the diameter. These are energies. This is stanza 3. This is the trembling of the heart. In other words, the place appeared that is ready to take a bow to this highest entity. This is stanza 3. It has 3 compounds of this bow. And this bow, this symbol, is divided into 3 phases. The first one is when we stretch ourselves just like a string. We are like a line, like a ray, like a string. And we are like a perpendicular of this direct straight line within this circle. Then we need to feel with each our cell, and at phase 3 we have the opportunity to give that away. In other words, the bow is not a bow, taking a bow without any meaning. It's a particular cycle, a particular symbol, or a path that helps us to consciously have the forces of the mind. Why do we take this bow? During these 3 phases, we can take the bow to the highest, and that's how this trembling appears. And that's when we have the opportunity to give away the energy, and the interchange of energies takes place. Stanza 1, 2, and 3 prepare the consciousness, the mind, to the exchange of the energies. It prepares the space. That's how human beings are preparing their consciousness, their thinking, their mind to the exchange of energy. And this touch is very brief. It is very powerful. And to be able to feel it, to perceive it, we need to be ready for this energy exchange. In other words, the key point of stanza 3, Sloka 12, and 12 is the sum of, gives us the sum of 3. This is the trembling of the external nature of stanza 3 and the internal one of Sloka 12. These 2 figures, 3 and 3, they get united, and this is the bow of the universe. Why is it made? So that the consciousness would get beyond the form, any kind of form. Only then it becomes the one consciousness of everyone, one common consciousness of all people. That is why particular attention is given to the fact that the first 3 stanzas are interconnected, and they have the physical influence on our consciousness. It prepares us to accept the sun, so that we'd be able to see the reflection of sun everywhere, in everyone, in everything, always. And that's how our face starts changing, influenced by this source. And the more open we are, the more our face changes. It becomes light, beautiful, attractive, and it is ready to take a bow to this light. The sun gives us light, and it doesn't require anything in return. And the same is true for human beings. When we accept this unity, this common consciousness, we stop asking others to give us anything. And this is taking the bow within this unity of these two figures, 3 and 3. In other words, it's the interchange, or rather the exchange of the energies of the egregor of the universe that is ready to give and to give its rays, and the exchange of that with the human energy. So today, from the standpoint of the occult philosophy, it's a very important day. It's the important study of Sloka 12. We complete stanza 3. And in other words, we have prepared the non-form. It has been made. At the end of Sloka 12, the non-form got assembled, and it is ready to be reflected in the form. And the way that we accept it depends on each individual's consciousness. It depends on the 3 phases of the bow. If it were sincere, if it were courageous, if we have the aspiration, and if we were ready to give away our energy. And I'd like to thank our foreign international partners for their participation in this seminar dedicated to the study of The Secret Doctrine by Helena Petrovna. Sloka 12, stanza 3. We have simultaneous interpreting by Polina Romancheva and Ksenia Persova. Thank you so much for being with us. And we hope that all the thoughts that will be voiced in this seminar within this key note of the egregor collected here today, assembled here today, will give the eternal impetus for the future for everyone who will touch upon this. And I hope it will open up new opportunities for discovering new forms and words that get beyond this form and become the acting, the moving thought. Friends, I'd like to give the floor to my colleague who tell us about this day and the energies in which we are going through today, so that the cycle would be open up to all of us, so that we could collect all these thoughts within our consciousness and exchange these ideas. So the key thought today is the interchange between all of us. And I give the floor to the head of the Theosophic School, Moscow, Russia, Mr. Yary. I welcome everyone once again. Hello. To explain the combination, the new combination of nidanas, depending on the times that we're going through. Of course, according to Blavatsky in The Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, she says that we need to use the comparison, analogy, laws, and this law should be based on the understanding of the knowledge, and then the understanding will be the consequence of our understanding on the essence of things. and the essence of things given by Helena Petrovna in the Pearl of the East enables us to take the right direction in our meditation approach of understanding the reality and nidanas. Secret Doctrine, knowledge given in volume 1. These are 3 stanzas of Dzyan. They tell us that we go from the general to the details. And this formula, learn more about yourself and you'll learn more about the world. To implement this formula, we need to have the foundation in our consciousness, the foundation of the creation that reflects the law of the laws, cosmogenesis, theogenesis, and anthropogenesis. All these are properties of the space, of the nature of and the human beings should be understood by us, first and foremost. And we are trying to understand the laws of existence, the laws of nature and the laws of human beings. And we are trying to apply all our potencies, powers that exist or reflected within human beings as the micro space, microcosmos. We need to waken up all these powers, and it can be done with the creative force, with love, and it connects the duality of this world. The thought of the day is the following. Thoughts alone cause the round of rebirths in this world. Let a man strive to purify his thoughts. What a man thinks, that he is. This is the old secret. And in this thought, we need to understand what should be the foundation of our learning about ourselves. And for that, we've got this Kalachakra calendar. It represents Mahayana school, or the Tibet school, Mahayani school, that tells us about the great symbol, the cart and the chariot, and Blavatsky, the messenger of Shambhala, expressed the essence of Fohat teachings. She told about the rising of Manvantara, and we are in the phase of this. We are at this rising phase, and we need to understand this law. How does everything start? What is the breathing of the Absolute? What breathes within the Absolute? What is Svabhavat, or the spirit matter? How it gives the impetus to the nature, to all the laws, by this mediator that is sent to Fohat. In other words, this is nature, Purusha and Prakriti, that give impetus to this Fohat. This is the property of the law and its movement. And we start accepting that with the help of nidanas that represent the cause and reason interconnection. We need to get into the state of emptiness. In other words, to forget about our limits, our shyness, and we need to get within the emptiness of our mind to deny all the illusions, refuse from all the forms and illusions. And when we enter this state, and Blavatsky tells us that thought is important and it reflects the essence of human beings. Human beings are not only give birth to the thought, but they also manifest the thought. The epoch is the epoch of the blue monkey. Its symbol is the constellation of the Aquarius, and this constellation shows the third air, and Hierophant is the blue monkey. It characterizes the Hierophant as the point that will give birth to its potentiality, the potentiality of the forces that are reflected as the nidana, as the effect and the cause connection. The blue monkey tells us about the beauty of the thought.
You need to have the sense of beauty, and the sense of beauty, it's something that needs to be elevated by your heart, because your heart is the source of all human emotion and all our feelings and all the states of understanding and feeling the world. All of this is concentrated in the center, in the heart, or the magnet. And our magnet, it can attract the purified thoughts, purified feelings. And then you will have a better sense and a more profound sense of things. To achieve this, you need to go to the next era, to the era of the Aquarius, of Satya Yuga. And for us, it's really important. Now let's look at another combination, which is happening inside of this era, the era of the blue monkey. This is a century of the white dragon. The white dragon century is characterized by the nidana called Bhavana, or the existence. And the existence is characterized by its wisdom, and the concentration of this wisdom in the ether is situated in the white dragon, and we are living in the state of the dragon. I'd call it, I'd talk about the other combinations which are in the white dragon. It's the century of the white dragon, the year of the blue dragon, which is the year of 2024, and the week of the yellow dragon. So we have a combination of three dragons at the same time. And of course, I would like to explain the profound meaning of this nidana, the nidana of the dragon that we're living right now. The dragon symbolizes the karmic mediator. And this karmic mediator is, first of all, he is manifested with such characteristics of birth, of the birth of life in each form. And it's called, any form, any manifestation, they're called Chatur and Bodhi, or four spheres. And these four spheres, they tell us about how life is conceived. And the life is conceived, like in the animal kingdom, or from tissue, from cells, or from the air and water. The germs are created. And the fourth is Manvarakaya, which is the birth or creation through the power of Kriya Shakti. So the self creation, when someone is born through his own volition, so that his power Первоначально is bestowed on the humanity, like an avatar who has this sacred knowledge. Follow these four spheres, being the mediator between the life and the form. We are living through the, the white dragon, the blue dragon, the year, and they all have their own functions. The blue dragon is the power of the element. It's unchanged, unchangeable, like an ether itself. And ether is considered to have the spirit of the powers of nature, also of fire. And fire exists in each element because it's the accumulation of the eternal life. And each element in the ether has its fire. It has the idea and the information. In the blue dragon, the high, wise idea is concentrated. And in the yellow dragon, it's characterized by the mind, by stability. And this is the wisdom of the manifestation of human mind, and how he has the potential to conceive the world and existence, just like a mirror reflects the true essence of being. So they all give birth and conceive us because we all were born from the human womb. So for us, that means that we are determined by the human, and the human is a thinker. So we have to be born, and this birth the wisdom is the chaperone or the mediator. So for us and the existence, for us to be born in this existence, I'd say that to do it consciously and deliberately, there needs to be creativity, the power to create. So the teachers, the humanity, before giving the sacred knowledge, they would tell their students or help them get in the state when they were able to think freely for themselves. And this is the main idea carried by the dragons. You need to be able to think for yourself, to think individually. And as you can see, if we look at this from this point of view, we have the possibility to be born from this womb, going through the center of Maya, given to us by the blue monkey, is a symbol of the era, the dawn of Manvantara, the power to be born in the new world. So imagine the dragons. They give us the ability to use our wisdom to choose the world in which we will be able to manifest our inner existence, to apply our wisdom. So to make life better, more conscious. And we're living in the week of the fire tiger, or the red tiger. This is the energy of Jati, the energy of birth. This energy, it has a lot of power, a lot of potential, and it carries this potential that today, the day of the yellow snake, which is the potential energy that creates within the dragon, which allows the birth of the power within the tiger, that allows him to manifest the essence of the inner human, his inner potential. So those are the great energies we have before us right now. just imagine. And of course, the stanza 3, Sloka 12. I think that now you will hear a lot about it from our speakers, how it's developed and how it's unveiling its sense. So thank you very much. Now we were concentrated on the ideas, and now for us it's important to know that understanding things out your mind and the process of thinking, which it's great characteristic of the nidanas. And for us, it means that we can participate in the joy of understanding, of thinking together. And for us to deliberately use this opportunity, we have the possibility to go above the form. And if you paid attention in this talk about nidanas and their characteristics, Vladimir Yary, he went above the form. And we as listeners were able to do the same thing. So we're continuing to study Stanza 3, Sloka 12. And we invite Michelina Foster, the PhD on metaphysics, part of the Theosophical Society of America, California. So, Michelina, please, it's your turn to speak.
Good morning. Good morning to you. The talk is Then Svabhavat sends Fohat to harden the atoms. Each is a part of the web, reflecting the self-existent Lord. Like a mirror, each becomes in turn a world. Fohat is the Tibetan term used to represent the active male potency of the Shakti, the female reproductive power in nature, the essence of cosmic electricity. An occult Tibetan term for Depravati, primordial light, and in the universe of manifestation and the ever-present electrical energy and ceaseless destructive and formative power. Esoterically, it is the same. Fohat being the universal propelling vital force, at once the propeller and the resultant. The word fo actually translates to guru, teacher. Perhaps in a hardening the atoms, it actually teaches each life essence or germ, which we call an atom, how to manifest itself within the body of this web of a particular cosmic event. A magician, it is said, works in the world of smoke and mirrors. The teaching of Theosophy begins to cleanse the mirrors of our perception, which we call our lives, and removes the smoke or the dust of misconceptions, illusions, delusions, deceit, errors, and blinds, which we have placed before the infant humanity. But education is not enough. Humanity constantly disregards the natural concepts of growth and change. Everything within the scope of nature, of life itself, of which humanity is possessed, grows and changes. When we arise from sleep, we are not the same structure unit which first laid down on the bed the night before. Gallons of blood have passed through our bodies. Brain cells have been born and died. Food within our digestive system has been utilized and moved on. And dreams and ideas have traced their echoes through our unconscious consciousness. Nothing ever stays the same. All dwells constantly within motion. Within each of these now hardened spinning atoms, worlds are created. We are surrounded by countless worlds, From the simplicity of the world which reigns within the day-to-day mind of a child, to the worlds of comprehension and confusion whirling within us and each human unit around us. We are always surrounded within layers of consciousness. Each one has the capacity to grow or to dissolve back into its primal atom, its first instinct or inclination. Choice is granted, and each unit can either accept or reject this opportunity. The beauty of choice is granted to each reflection of the self-existent Lord. Each atom which Fohat energizes, so to say. As awareness evolves within each atom, the connectivity of the web is seen. This web is connected to itself, as the opposite poles of positive and negative polarities exist. Within the human perspective of creation, there cannot be a positive without a negative. Fohat, being the universal and vital force that he is, contains the ability to create or destroy, propel or be the resultant of the thrust, according to the thought of the self-existent Lord. HBB has stated that, quote, when an occultist speaks of Fohat, the energizing and guiding intelligence of the universal electric or vital fluid, he is laughed at, unquote. Withal, as now shown, neither the nature of electricity nor of the life, nor even light, to this day are understood. The occultist sees in the manifestation of every force in nature the action of the quality or the special characteristics of its nomenon, which nomenon is distinct and intellectually intelligent on the other side of the manifested mechanical universe. In considering Fohat as vital force, we also have to observe that the occult sciences do not regard either electricity or any forces supposed to be generated by it as matter in any of the states known to physical science. To put it more clearly, none of these forces, so-called, are either solids, gases, or fluids. An occultist would even object to electricity being called a fluid, as it is an effect and not a cause. But its nomenon, he would say, is a conscious cause. It may be said that on the plane of manifestation and illusionary matter, force is simply the passage of one state of motion into another state of the same. However, the occultist knows that it is vastly more. Fohat is a constructive force of cosmic energy and is said metaphorically to have sprung from the brain of the father and the bosom of the mother. He then metamorphs himself into a male and a female, the two polarities, positive and negative electricity. Fohat is the producer of many of the phenomena of our physical plane. It is said that Fohat has 7 sons, brothers, and of these we may deduce that they are electricity, magnetism, sound, light, heat, cohesion, etc. These 7 sons, brothers, are representative of and personify the 7 forms of cosmic magnetism, called in practical occultism the 7 radicals. These can be defined as supersensitive effects in their hidden behavior and as objective phenomena in our world of senses. The former require abnormal faculties to perceive them, and the latter are ordinary physical senses. They all pertain to and are the emanation of still more supersensuous spiritual qualities, not personified by, but belonging to real and conscious causes. Every form on Earth and every speck, atom, which Fohat hardens in space, strives in its efforts toward self-transformation to follow the model placed for it in the heavenly man. We can understand this as the self-existent Lord in this sloka. The pattern remains, and the same remains the same, and Fohat sparks the atoms to grow and mature into ever-perfecting reflection of the self-existent Lord. The Christian might say, into the fullness and stature of Christ. In the light of these stanzas, the book of Hermes states, quote, the thought divine personified states that human principle, that the light is me, I am the nous, the mind or the manu, I am thy God, and I am far older than the human principle, which escapes the shadow from the shadow, darkness, or the concealed deity. I am the germ of thought, the pleasant word, the Son of God. All that thus sees and hears in these is the verban of the Master. It is the thought Mahat, which is God the Father. HBB states here that God the Father is the seventh principle in man and cosmos is meant, inseparable in its essence and nature from the seventh cosmic principle. In one sense, it is the Logos of the Greeks and the Avalokiteshvara of the esoteric Buddhists. The quote from Hermes continues, the celestial ocean, the ether, is the breath of the Father, and the life-giving principle, the Mother, the Holy Spirit. For these are not separated, and their union is life. The web reflects the self-existent Lord, is always one. Fohat goes about his duties of hardening the atoms and spinning them into their unfolding paths. Hidden within each atom, each reflection, is the self-existent Lord. It is from he who is that all worlds are manifested and infused with his being. There is no separation in this union. And we, atoms of humanity, dwelling in each of our mental, emotional, physical worlds, call this our life. Namaskar.
Дорогая Мишелина, огромное спасибо.
Dear Michelin, thank you so much. Thank you for your research.
Thank you.
Thank you for assembling all the key points that this Shloka 12, this very complicated Shloka could reflect. There are very important points that were discovered and new to us. And once again, it's the confirmation that there is no limit to this eternal thought. It opens up every time in a new way if we follow this thought. Thank you very much for the opportunity to follow your thought and to be within this complicated research together with you. And once again, you demonstrated to us how we can get beyond the limits of the form. When we listen to a speech about non-form, we try to feel what is being talked about, and we try to use the most sincere words to describe the abstract notion, the notion that cannot be said, pronounced. And that's how we get the higher world closer to our earthly forming mind and consciousness. And that's how we open up our consciousness. Thank you so much for being with us. And we continue studying the Sloka, The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. And with great pleasure, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Huang, professor of the School of Arts, PhD, Arts, South Korea, Seoul. Mr. Huang, we're listening to you very attentively. Thank you so much for joining us and preparing your study.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about G zodiac today. It is defined by myself. It is defined as the eccentricity effect of Earth's elliptical orbit. It's something similar, but it's a curious terminology. Today, our study is about then Svabhavat sends Fohat to harden to atoms. Each is a part of the web, reflecting the self-existent Lord like a mirror. Each becomes in turn a world. Last time, Mr. Ongol defined the web is the visual universe. Do you remember? I like that word. So today, this sloka, based on this sloka, I'm going to talk about the Sun Earth solar system, especially effect of gravitational force of Sun on the human brain by the the change of gravity of the Sun. Traditional zodiac, EM zodiac, I called EM zodiac. This is the something like sunshine zodiac. We assumed that the Earth's orbit around Sun is the circle, and the rotational axis of Earth is inclined by 23.5 degrees from North Pole. This results that we have the 4 seasons and 12 months due to the variation of sunshine. These 12 months reflects the 12 houses of zodiac, EM zodiac, with 12 constellation on each background of the line of sight. The eccentricity of the Earth's orbit around the Sun is 0.017. The eccentricity of the Earth's orbit varies over time due to gravitational interaction with other celestial bodies. The eccentricity value can get as low as 0.0034 and up to 0.058. This Earth's eccentricity is currently 0.017. This means that the difference between the perihelion, the closest point, and aphelion, the longest point, is approximately 3%. You know, the figure, the upper one is the circular orbit. This is for the EM zodiac, traditional zodiac. In this case, there is no change of the length between Sun and Earth. Circular orbit, there is a gravity of the Sun, but no change of gravity. The gravity is not changed in this case, but the lower case, if the elliptical orbit, then gravity changes. You know, this makes G zodiac, another zodiac. So in reality, both zodiac exist, EM zodiac and G zodiac together. This is an example of the two elliptical orbit. The first one is designed for the traditional EM zodiac, 12 months, 4 seasons. We know we use that. There is no change of gravity in this case, but it is not reality. It is assumed. The other two is one is the different, eccentricity. In this case, two zodiacs combined together. This is the famous Kepler's second law. The sun is at the center, and the Earth is rotating with elliptical orbit. The closest perihelion, near the perihelion, the velocity of Earth's rotational velocity is greater than the other part, aphelion velocity v1. This is Kepler's law. In reality, the change between Sun and Earth is changing slowly, so not many changes. This one is for the background constellations. For example, I example Big Dipper. Do you know Big Dipper constellation? If you see the from the south to the north, that it look like a dipper. But if you see the from the east, then it look like a snake. If you see the north, it something like an apple. If you see the west, then it look like a banana. The figure is not much meanings. So we just, but this constellation is very important. This constellation gives the position of the Earth rotating around the sun. The position, without this constellation, we cannot position the Earth on the orbit. Superman is a review, kind of review. The moon rotates elliptical orbit around the Earth within 1 day. So sometimes very closest distance between Earth and moon, we call the supermoon. In this case, the closest distance is 350,000 kilometers, and the longest 355,000 kilometers. So it changes distance. It makes a change of gravity. So the change of gravity gives the something like G zodiac because it gives the interaction between two souls, human on Earth and the in this case moon's sensitive soul. Exactly same, similarly, same situation, Earth, Sun, solar system. In this case, the closest distance is 1.52, 10 times 11th power, and the longest is 1.57, 10 to the 11th power. So it makes the change of gravity because it rotates with elliptical orbit. It makes the change of gravity makes some effect to the human brain on Earth. This happens 1 year. During 1 year, I put the number 12 from 1 to 12. This does not match to the month. 1 does not mean January. 6 does not mean June. It is for the G zodiac only. For example, 1 is matched to the summer. 7 may goes to the winter. It does not match, but it has we can define 12. It is okay. The duration, 12, we can assume, no problem in this case. Also, I mentioned the last time, the power, sun's gravity power, strongest is 13,200 Newton for the 1 kilogram. We assumed our brain is about 1 kilogram. Every hour we are hit by 13,002 kilogram Newton force from the sun, maximally in this case. It is changes. Red one is attractive, repulsive, and green one is attractive. Repulsive usually
Дорогие друзья, у нас
Dear friends, there's been technical glitch on the side of Mr. Huang. There must be some internet disruption. He's rejoining us, and we will resume just in a couple of seconds. Thank you for your patience.
Господин Хван, говорите, пожалуйста, продолжаем.
Mr. Huang, please continue.
My mistake. Or this case, the red case, which is the repulsive interaction, usually represent the emotion of fury, tension, and fighting. Instead, the red, green thing, attractive soul, represent sorrow and crying and regretting, something like that. It's positive and negative. This emotion is due to the interaction between two things. This happens in the, remember, theory of a generator. I mentioned about that exactly the same situation between two things, two coils, one magnetic field, and they have something like these interactions in the generator theory. I hope you remember that. And next screen, please. This is our EM zodiac, usual zodiac. On Earth, daytime we can see the sun, but in the nighttime we see the constellation. So constellation gives the position of the Earth around the sun. That's very important. Without this constellation, for example, Sagittarius, without Sagittarius constellation, we never position our current status around in the orbit. So 12 zodiac gives the positioning each point surrounding around the sun. But as I said, but the figure does not mean figure. No idol, for example, no images about figures. Only the positioning is important. Scientifically, I'm speaking about science. Next screen, please. As the Earth spins on its axis, producing night and day, it also moves about the sun. An elliptical orbit that requires about 3 165 quarter days to complete. The Earth's spin axis is tilted as much as 23.5 degrees with respect to its orbital plane. Seasons are related to the amount of lightning, electromagnetic fields. So I use ENM zodiac, which relate to the biological growth by photosynthesis under the same distance between Sun and Earth. Traditional 12 zodiac signs in the sky. Next screen, please. I example the Aquarius constellation. You know, the Western astrology, the ENM zodiac Aquarius constellation is for January 21st and February 19th. So it represents 1 month and date also. So using this information, there's a organic relationship between microscopic individual future change and macroscopic universe change for the future. So Western astrology usually use this the ENM zodiac. Also, here's 12 zodiacs. The outer 24 signs. These are the Asian agricultural signs. This is why, you know, I said ENM zodiac is for the 4 seasons, 12 months, because of the amount of sunshine. So it's related to the agriculture, something birth and growing. Not exactly emotion, eternal emotion, long-term emotion. There's nothing to do with long-term emotions. I calculated the induced soul due to the change of the gravity of the sun through the G zodiac. By calculation, gravitational flux, and take a derivative of this, and it changed finally induced soul SIND is equal to in volt 2 pi this square GMV over R cubic. R cubic, you know, denominator cubic means the rapidly increase or decreasing. In this case, you know, the V is the have a direction. So one time going right side and turn left, the V has a minus sign. So the gravity, the mass of the capital M is the sun's mass. So sun's mass may have negative for the negative V, positive for the positive V. You know, the two things exist. So next screen, if you see that very important result is that the sun's mass, capital M, has positive mass and, you know, repulsive soul for the positive V, and the negative mass, green thing, negative velocity for the attractive soul. This, I call this several times. This is one of them. This is G zodiac. So G zodiac is related to the both Western astrology and Eastern astrology as well. For the Western astrology, I can put the 12 numbers, but this 12 does not match to the ENM zodiac 12. The one does not mean January. The one may for the summer is different, but it has a duration of 12 years. I can make it. So it can does not exactly consistent, but it like we have a relation between this one G zodiac and Western astrology. Also, this G zodiac is related to the Eastern astrology, because in Eastern astrology there are two tracks. One is the 10 heavenly stems, positive and negative, each 5, so 10 heavenly stems. The other track is 12 stems is positive and negative animals. 12 animals. Yary showed me in the figure. 12 animals. 6 animals positive, 6 animals negative. So Eastern astrology has positive and negative. So this positive and negative is related to my zodiac. This zodiac can be applied to the Western astrology and Eastern astrology as well. Maybe need more research. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Господин Хван, большое спасибо.
Mr. Huang, thank you so very much. The conclusions are very interesting. The interconnections were also very curious and interesting. Agni Yoga tells us that we're going through the times when the axis of the Earth is at the angle is related to a number of processes. And in your concept, it told us that we can see it and prove it and observe it and even find some comparisons, some sequences in the charts. And it's interesting that if we apply this thought to Sloka 12, we can see that if the axis of the Earth and zodiac signs have some changes, so in other words, there is no statics, the Earth is moving, the Sun is moving, all the bodies are moving, and when this movement takes place, there are changes in the interrelations and within ourselves, in the consciousness of human beings. And it's interesting to see that the structure of the hardness of the atom of Fohat is changing, and it is the evolutionary flow within Sloka 12. At the very beginning, these atoms were particular structures, but then there was the point when the atoms hardened, they got their form, and now we've gone through millions and millions of years of this evolutionary period, and all these celestial bodies, the solar system, exist within a different space. They change their structure, and the atom also changes its structure. It has gone through the hardest point when it got hardened. It's the hardness of the form. And now it's step by step going beyond its form, just like the consciousness of human beings. When we own the Fohat powers, we have the creative force. We are changed. Our consciousness, our body change, and they go beyond the form. Thank you for the thoughts that you provided and presented in your charts, in your pages of the presentation visually. It was very clear. And of course, if we observe that, and as far as I understood, it's not all your studies are of systematic nature, and they are continuous, and we are looking forward to new concepts to see how all that is interrelated, and how the exchange of energies take place and how it influences the structure of human beings. Thank you so much. Dear friends, Sloka 12, stanza 3.
So, of course, stanza 3, Sloka 12 will go through the main points. We went through the commentary of HPB, of course. We want to pose questions to be able to pierce into the material. And the idea about the questions that may arise from this chapter. Of course, these questions are something you need to ask yourself: why, when, for what reason they encourage your mind and your direction, your communicational instruments of understanding, to be able to pierce into the depths of this topic, in the depth of something that is not said, to be able to feel it, and to try, just as Mr. Wang has just told us his concept about the zodiacs, about how they interact with each other, and how you can see that interaction. So we'll try to do the same to understand the movement of the idea within the 12th shloka of stanza 3 Zen. So, stanza 3, shloka 12. Then Svabhavat sends Fohat to harden the atoms. Each is a part of the web, reflecting the self-existent Lord. Like a mirror, each becomes in turn the world. And the first question that we pose here, the shloka starts with the then Svabhavat sends Fohat. But what does it mean then? When does this then happen? And we wanted to look at this question from the point of a certain structure. And we decided to take into consideration the 3 shlokas before the 12th, so the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So 10 shlokas that were before that date, and the 11th shloka that has given the form. So what does it mean then? When does this then happen? And what happened before this 12th shloka became possible? The state in the 8th shloka, Helena Petrovna described as where was the germ, and where was now darkness? Where was the spirit of the flame burning in the lamp? The germ is death, and death is light, the white brilliant sun of the dark hidden Father. So when the 7 appeared with brilliant light, this light was absolutely pure, and it permeated all the planes of being, from the unmanifested to the future manifested ones, thereby giving the power of victory over darkness. In the 9th shloka, we talk about the light, which is called flame, and the flame is fire, and fire produces heat, which yields water, the water of life and the great mother. So after such purification, the place where the universe will be created is filled with the waters of life, and this matter became a common universal mind. And then, in the 10th shloka, the Father and Mother spin a web whose upper end is fastened to the spirit, the light of the one darkness, and the lower one is to the shadowy end, matter. And this web is the universe spun out of the 2 substances made in one, which is Svabhavat. What does it mean? It means that when there was power to fill this place, then this power became Svabhavat, who brought into the universal eternal pattern a construction impetus, this foundation, so that the mind could resist the vortex or the movement of light. which creates the web. So Svabhavat builds the foundation with its own body. And this is the key point of the 10th Sloka. In the 11th Sloka, we talk about how it expands when the breath of fire is upon it. It contracts when the breath of the mother touches it. Then the sons dissociate and scatter to return into their mother's bosom at the end of the great day and become one with her once again. When it cools down, it becomes radiant, and the sons expand and contract through their own selves and their hearts. They embrace infinitude. What does this mean exactly? So this web was spread when two changed the universal pattern with their breath into many combinations and correlations, and the number of these patterns was unlimited. The matter cooled down from its fiery state, and it gave the suns the opportunity to manifest. There are many suns, but at the same time they are unified, they are one. And the whole is the heart. The heart is the connecting link of all powers and worlds, as they contain the infinitude. So the key point, by the time of the events of the 12th Sloka, a great purification took place, filling the mother with the purest crystal waters. Then the warmth appeared. Svabhavat gave a construction impetus to the foundation, its body. This space was filled with the web or the foundation, and so the suns or the rays were able to spread the web and change its pattern or the future individual worlds. And then the moment came when Svabhavat sent Fohat to harden the atoms. Each is a part of the web, which reflects the self-existent Lord like a mirror. Each becomes in turn the world. So the acting force here is Fohat. He is the law, the legislator, and the acting force or the executor of this law. But there is something that is even higher than this acting force. What is it? Above the acting force of Fohat is Svabhavat. And he sends something that will act like the law. Svabhavat or Father Mother sends the Fohat or the Sun. And the Sun becomes the universe. And the atoms are a part of the universe. So Fohat makes atoms solid, so it gives them energy. It scatters the atoms, which is the original matter. He scatters himself, scattering the matter into atoms. Svabhavat spins the web through the construction impetus for its own body. Fohat scatters itself, scattering matter into atoms. The body of the universe is created from the body of Svabhavat and the creative force of Fohat, which transmits the creative potential of matter by spiritualizing it. And thanks to Fohat, the ideas of the universal mind are imprinted on matter. What are these ideas? The universal mind, or the universal consciousness, which is the fundamental essence of all beings, and the becoming of the universe. It includes being, becoming, which took place in the universe even before the concept of mind. And we can see it as clearly on the slide. It visualizes how this all happened. So it examines the inorganic being and becoming, as well as the interactions that occur in the process beyond physical and chemical laws. So these interactions have happened and they continue to happen. And the universal consciousness is the source underlying these interactions, as well as the awareness and knowledge they imply. So the supreme mind or the universal mind, the absolute mind, they all are the attributes of the absolute, or an independent entity. So the intelligent root cause of the world is the mind that designed the universe. And the soul is having its own origin in the supreme mind, in which different forms of living beings differ from each other. The supreme mind is defined as the universal soul. The mind, as a set of concepts gathered under the definitional thought, will, feelings, is absolute wisdom that exceeds all concepts of space and time. So when Helena Petrovna writes that the ideas of the universal mind are imprinted by Fohat on matter, these ideas are the root cause of the world structure, which designed the universe. Secondly, interactions of being and non-being, the information of inorganic being and becoming beyond physical and chemical laws, the universal consciousness, awareness, knowledge, the universal soul, the totality of thought, will, and feeling, and absolute wisdom. So, that how these ideas are imprinted on the matter. There is one thing that we can say here is the interaction with electricity. How does it work? The electricity works as a mediator, and Fohat is the mediator between absolute and conditioned power. So the active and productive power. Active meaning it's male, and productive being the female power. Fohat is the active male power, and Shakti is the female productive power in nature. They can also be interpreted as a centripetal and centrifugal force, and as the law of harmony and balance. So when there is an interaction between the centripetal and centrifugal force, we have the law of harmony and balance, and Fohat is the law of harmony and balance, as in the simultaneous movement of the law and the thing that moves it. How does it move? How does this happen? Who moves it? So Fohat here is the thing that moves and the thing that is being moved at the same time. And as a differentiation of Daiva Prakriti. So Fohat is a term for Daiva Prakriti, the primordial light. When differentiated, it becomes Fohat. And as a representative of Manasaputras, Fohat is the guide of the law. It's a representative of the Manasaputras, which together constitute an eternal mind. So what is Manasaputras? In the commentaries, we see that Manasaputras are the sons of the spirit, and in the mythology, they are the 11 sons of Brahma, born by him spiritually. 11 spiritual sons of Brahma, or Adam Kadman, the symbol of the spiritual cross imprinted on the Kalachakra. Their nature was too pure to be different from the universal nature, but their ego or manas, for they are called Manasaputras, born of Fohat or Brahma, had to go through earthly human trials in order to become the all-knowing, and be able to begin the cycle of rebirth. According to the planes of being, the earthly plane in the spiritual cross is the symbol 11. It defines the point of the return cycle. From this point, involution ends and evolution begins. So the key point here is that the Fohat can solidify atoms as a representative of the law of aggregates of the eternal mind. So he can spiritualize matter and materialize spirit. And as a representative of the Manasaputras, the 11 sons of Brahma, it can incarnate in the ego. How does this happen exactly? Fohat, or the 11 sons of Brahma, or the representative of Manasaputra. How does this happen? So the self-existent Lord, or Svabhavat, the universe, reflects in the nominal mirror of the eternal mind. It's a reflection of the divine mind that happens like in the mirror of the soul. So in 12 solid atoms of the world, the 12 reflections of the self-existent Lord, they are the 12 nidanas of the Kalachakra hierophants, which corresponds to the 12 Sloka, Stanza 3. So 12 solid atoms. Each is a part of the matter, of the web, reflecting the self-existent Lord like a mirror. Each becomes in turn the world. It becomes the world or consciousness, created from the creative web and being a part of it. So he has the creative power, the cosmic electricity or mind. And this is how Fohat acted, imprinting ideas on the matter, giving form to life. So the form of life would have been given only at the moment when this idea had been formed in the matter. And Fohat is an ever-present electric energy. It is the cosmic electricity, which is the mind. And science has concluded that all brain activity is accompanied by electrical phenomena. And if the shape is the result of the interaction of two opposite forces, centrifugal and centripetal, or plus and minus, so each form has an image that is initially created in eternity by the builders or intelligent forces, with these images reflected in the divine mind. How are they reflected in the divine mind? Planets, atoms, or particles of matter are attracted to each other, not along a straight line, but along curves that spirally go around and approach each other's centers. And this phenomena arise as a result of the confrontation between the constrained and free power, which is outwardly irreconcilable, but in fact is based on interdependence and harmony. A shackled will is an eternal force, and free will is an inner force that gives growth to consciousness or the world. Fohat, having collecting several clumps of cosmic matter, or nebula, will set the celestial body in motion again, giving him momentum, and having developed the necessary warmth will allow him to follow his new growth. Any growth depends on inner power, because at our level only this power is capable of acting consciously. But who is the one who has the power? And Platform gives the answer that this is the first Manu, who is called Svayambhuva, or the self-manifested son of the unmanifested father, or self-born. And he has a name inherent in every cosmic monad, which becomes the center of power from which a planetary chain arises. And in our solar system, there are 7 chains. And who was Manu, the son of Svayambhuva? He was the first of the 14 Manus, and is considered to be the son of the self-existent Brahma and his wife Shadarupa, according to another version of the myth. And Svayambhu was divided into male and female, and Virat was born from them, and Manu was born from Virat. So Manu Svayambhu reigned during the Krita Yuga. He gave birth to 7 Prajapatis, or great rishis, and he is also credited with the creation of the authoritative code of laws of Hinduism, the laws of Manu. And the secret doctrine asserts that this Manu wasn't a man, but he was a representation of the first human race that developed within the help of Trianogans or Devas at the beginning of the first cycle. But his laws state that there are 14 Manus of each kalpa, or the interval of time between 2 creations, or rather the interval from one minor pralaya to the other. And that in the present divine age, so far there have been only 7 Manus. So Manus Svayambhuva is Brahma or Logos, or he is Adam Kadmon, who in the book of Genesis divides himself into halves, man and woman, thus becoming Jehovah. So Svayambhuva divides himself to become the Brahma Virish or Vah Virish, man and woman. So the 41 symbolic, they are a circle divided by a perpendicular, 7 on one side and 7 on the other side, respectively. In combination or in the sum of 14, we have 1 plus 4, 5. 5, so the symbol of a person, the symbol of mind. So each atom became a world, a reflection of the divine mind. And then Svabhavat sends Fohat to harden the atoms. Each is a part of the web, reflecting the self-existent Lord like a mirror. Each becomes in turn the world. So this is a short expose. We have now time to answer all your questions that you can, write down in the chat. And, ask us about the concepts and terms discussed by the speakers.
Провести аналогию между началом третьей
Can we
шлоки
compare the beginning of Sloka 3? Sloka 3 says, the dark emanates light, and the beginning of Shloka 12, Svabhavat sends Fohat. Is there a comparison, analogy between these two cases? Michelina, Foster, if you are ready to answer, please do that. Thank you.
Darkness and light always, it's a duality, and it's only, I would believe, basically on our plane. We see darkness and we see light. But I believe on the higher planes, from where Fohat would be born, there'd be even something beyond what we call darkness or light. We can say absolute light, and our essence expands, or we can say absolute darkness because we don't understand what is beyond us. So today, let us call it absolute light, from which Fohat is born and sparks the different points within the cosmos that become planets, galaxies, and eventually humans.
Да, большое спасибо.
Thank you so
Понятно,
much.
что это не аналогичное действие.
It is clear that these phrases mean different actions. Shloka 3 laid the foundation for differentiation. Darkness emanates light, it's the preparation. And then this foundation started to be filled. So Bhavat sends Fohat. This phrase means that Fohat is spreading these atoms that are hardening. These atoms or worlds at the very beginning of the differentiation. Indeed, these are different actions describing the period of evolution, the beginning of evolution. The next question. If we talk about the beginning, can we say that only the beginning can be perfect and pure? Vladimir, could you answer this question, please? The beginning is always absolute in its pureness. And of course, we can say that it is always pure. If we talk about the beginning, we talk about the absoluteness. Any reflection of the absolute should have the part of this beginning. It is a reflection, but it's not the opposite part. It has this essence within it. And with the help of this essence, it is evolutioning. But only this beginning can be absolute and perfect. Everything else is the reflection, and from the evolutionary standpoint, it should preserve it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the evolution taking place. Madam Foster, another question to you. In this shloka, the process is described that everything that was united is ready. And for the first differentiation, was everything ready for the first differentiation? Michelina, we're
I
listening to
think
you.
we start getting into the essence of timelessness. And we as humans see time as cells in a movie theater. Each of the cells eventually make up the whole film. And we can see this cell and that cell, and we'll see something move this way and then that way and then this way. And each of these cells is a point of time for us. However, the director has already made the entire movie, and the actors have already done their entire parts. So it isn't until we begin to see it that it has a beginning, and the beginning is within us. Thank you.
Очень красиво.
That is a very beautiful description. Thank you so much. The next question. Then Svabhavat sends Fohat. The question is related to this phrase. What does it mean to send? And how is this sending happening? In what form does this sending happening, Vladimir? Svabhavat sends Fohat because Svabhavat itself sends or transfers its essence, and this essence is the highest will that Fohat uses as the conductor, as a mediator, to harden the atoms. So the answer is this property of Svabhavat. Thank you. We're receiving a lot of questions, and we'll try to use the time that we are left with to structure the answers so that they would connect the major notions of Sloka 12, so that we could once again delve into the very heart of this Sloka. The question is, the higher consciousness, the absolute consciousness, is this the attribute of the absolute, or are these separate essences, entities? Michelina, the question is to you.
That would be the higher, we dwell within the higher consciousness. And it is only at the point in the universe, in infinity, that we stand at any particular time that we can see or perceive what it is that is being unfolded. In actuality, it is the higher consciousness in us unfolding itself. And that is what we perceive as the future coming about. But in timelessness, it has already happened. It has never happened. It has always been happening. So it is from where we stand in our perception of the universe, of God, of any of the teachings itself. That is the key to us understanding what it is that we believe and how we live. But Fohat sparks the atoms and sparks our atoms up here to see and begin to see how everything is evolving. But it takes us a little while to catch up with Fohat. He's a fast little guy. Thank you very much.
Indeed. I would say that we need the eternity, or to be in that particular state, or to be with that outside of the time. We need to get beyond the time to catch up with Fohat, or to turn into this notion ourselves. And it just occurred to me that when someone asks about the attributes of the Absolute and their independent entity, we could say that Blavatsky in the study says that the attributes of the Absolute are the independent entity. They are the independent entities because these independent entities have reason. They are the original cause of the whole structure, order of the world. In other words, the attributes of the Absolute that were enumerated like the attributes of the highest consciousness, the world consciousness, is the original cause of the structure of the world. In this sense, they are independent. That is just me clarifying the comments made by Blavatsky. And another question that we've received: how consciousness and the absolute wisdom can be identical? Could you clarify these notions? Will, feelings, how the absolute consciousness includes all these notions. As for the absolute wisdom, if we talk just about the absoluteness, this property or the state of absoluteness are limitless. And due to it being limitless, it encompasses everything, all that was mentioned. And it's important to understand this property, because the understanding itself is part of this absoluteness and the property of the absoluteness. In other words, the pureness. And for that we need clariness, and the understanding improves the clarity, and only the actions enable us to have the consciousness, and hence we've got the limitlessness. Those who understand the limitlessness, they are within time and within, or rather, they exist beyond time and beyond the space. And I'd like to get back to stanza 3 and just to find another connection. It was about the will, the feelings, and the thought. The thought is something that is beyond space and time, because thought is beyond that. Will is something that directs the thought to be formed, and feelings are ready to form, to give form to the thought and to develop this thought. That is how these three notions can be identical. Consciousness and wisdom become one notion. Why Manasa put representative is Fohat.
I think that all things in infinity work out from the one. We're back to the web. And the web is a reflection of a reflection of a reflection. And so Fohat becomes a reflection of the other one. I'm having trouble. He is a reflection of this. It's a reflection. And then everything comes down and the web moves out and it expresses itself. And then we, in the web, begin to look and to see how the things are working through the web. And in this line, the great one, that which is unknown, unmanifest to us, begins to be able to enable us with the wisdom, with the fire of Fohat coming down through the web, to enable us, to give us life, abundance, in order to begin to understand and to grow. And I would say evolve, but we do more than that, I think. All of eternity evolves, but there is something beyond evolution, beyond even life that we know of now. And that is all contained in this that we call the unknown. So Fohat reflects down. Thank you.
Да, большое спасибо,
Thank you so
Мichelina.
much, Michelina. Manasaputras are sons of Brahma, and it means that their representatives should be only the law. This movement is evolving according to the law. Fohat is the mediator, conductor of this law. This great significance of Manasaputra and sons of Brahma, they are the carriers of Manos. And Fohat is the carrier of the highest consciousness. This creative consciousness is at the same time this law that carries this eternal consciousness. Thank you so much. And our participants are raising their hands. Mr. Harshavasadan, if you have a question, please use the chat at the bottom part of Zoom. There is a Q&A section. Please send us your question there. We'll do our best to answer it. Very often we receive a question regarding the first volume and the first 3 stanzas of The Secret Doctrine. How is that related to the evolution of the consciousness of human beings, and how is it related to human beings? And we need to clarify this interconnection. The question is, to start the ascending, the return cycle, what does a human being need? Vladimir, could you please answer this question? Well, as I said, we need to open up the potentiality of our independent activities. This is the Fohat power, the psychic energy that starts creating in a conscious way and creating the universe. And when this potency grows, we have the world manifested. We have reached the harmony. Only then the property of the psychic energy enables us to penetrate into the sense of things. That's how we can see all the potentialities and open them up. Thank you. We're simultaneously answering your questions in WhatsApp using the cell phones. To start the ascending return cycle, human beings need to reach the ending form to start spiritualizing it. The sons, Manasaputras, that Helena Petrovna writes about, needed to undergo the human challenges. And only that's how they could start this ascending cycle. In other words, human beings need to reach this point, this hardest point, and only that's how they can start fulfilling it with the spirit. And the humanity has reached this point because in the 4th race, our intellect has reached its peak. It has implemented its wave of evolution. And now we can see another point, starting point. We need to open up to start our heart. And that is how everything starts. As the Christ said, love each other. And that is the Fohat power that opens up this potentiality. This is being in harmony with the cosmic magnet, the laws of nature. According to the big cycle, when we go through the fourth race, according to evolution, we've gone through that. We are in the fifth race right now. Every human being has their own peak and their own low, the bottom. And this is the state that we need. We need to get to the bottom to start spiritualizing the meaning. And this is individual work of each person. We've got a question related to Kalachakra. Vladimir, be ready to answer how Hierophants and Kalachakras are reflected in Nidanas, if they are reflected. Well, as I said, Hierophant of Aquarius, that is symbolized by the blue monkey, or deity, gives birth to the ones who are similar to them. In other words, all these gods or deities called Nidanas are the cause and consequence, cause and effect, connection, and it manifests the essence of the Hierophant itself. They are like carriers of its will, the will of Nidana. And that is the hereditary nature. This is hierarchy, interconnection, or the stairs of ascension, or it's the evolutionary process that develops due to the knowledge of female and male nidanas, or these poles. Thank you so much. Thank you for such an interesting answer.
Thank you very much for your insightful answer, as it revealed more in this question. Thank you very much. Next question for you, Michelina. Please prepare. The form of life itself, does it depend on the evolution of manas within a person, and how does it depend on it? So does the life form depend on the development of the manas within a person? Michelina?
Development within the person?
Yes.
I think that's why all the great ones call us children, because we are each developing and coming up to their standards. Everything grows. If we look out at a field, there's the grass, there's the flowers, there's the trees, there's the bushes. Everything is at a different growth potential. And I believe so it is with all consciousness. But that is because each section, each atom, each germ, each seed is given the ability to grow, and to grow at its own pace. Each of us is. So the great ones refer to us as children or as little ones. Jesus said, "Let the little ones come unto me." That's what the great ones are calling us as we study this Theosophy. Let the little ones come unto them, and they will teach us. But we have to pay attention. We have to watch. We have to observe without judging one another, judging our world, judging anything. And we have to, as you said, learn to love, because love is the next echelon of the fire that Fohat sets within each heart as he passes. The fire has to spark, the fire has to burn in this world, and until the world is set alight with the fire of love, our works are as nothing, but our works become one, and we become humanity, one essence, one consciousness, one entity, and we can follow the great ones much better than in their footsteps. Thank you.
Большое спасибо. Итак, третья
Thank you, Michelina. So, Sloka 3, stanza 3, Sloka 12 is finishing right now, and it shows us that the key point here is that the state of power, which consists of three stanzas, is collected, is gathered. So we have a straight line that goes upward, which can connect the foundation. It is the Fohat, and there is also a space which understands this idea of creation, of unity, that inspires the higher thoughts and harmony in it. This is the state which allows us to create and to exchange energies. It's important that in this state we have the opportunity to develop our mind. So not the body, but our capability of deliberately using the power of mind. And so Fohat has the creative power and it solidifies the atoms quite for them to be able to grow, to use the powers of the mind, for them to transcend the physical constraints. And this is how a person gets in the position to be able to go in the upward return cycle, to spiritualize the matter and to become God eventually. So at the end of Sloka 12, when the three great stanzas have ended, each can build their own form, their own world. We would like to thank all of you who have been with us during this seminar, who were ready to build this world, concentrated on this idea of being able to transcend the material world, who have tried to thin out their mind and have prepared the inner nature for this great harmony and beauty, which we all can now bring to and give to the world each day. Now we have tried to go into the fourth dimension. So in the dimension that exists without the constraints of space and time that we know. And now we're in the non-existent world. We have tried to feel it. And thank you for doing so. Thank you once again. We will wait for you on the 11th of April. We'll have an online seminar where we will discuss the next key points for us to be able to follow the great connection between all the shlokas and stanzas. And the note on which we end today, when we try to bow down and to give, because when you give, you don't lose anything. You can only obtain new things by giving something out. So when you open yourself to this light, your vision changes. Your understanding of the world changes as well. Thank you, love and light. We'll see you again. Thank you. Thank you for your reactions, your questions, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.